Ladies and gentlemen, welcome on board.
Ah! Well, hello tubers, hope you're doing well wherever you are in this crazy YouTube universe. Today I'm at one of my favorite campgrounds that is an undisclosed location. In fact, it's late in the season. Almost everybody's gone and it's closing in a few days. But I'm going to enjoy the serenity now and talk about something it's just always been at the top of my head, and I wanted to get it off my chest and discuss it. But if marriage was an airline, would you fly? Let's say I just ran out there and started an airline and I called it Marriage Airlines. And I bragged and said, our ratings for our airline is the same as marriage. Meaning that for your first time marriage, 40% failure rate. Overall, probably about 56%, because many people get married second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth time, even 7 or 8. God forbid. But so overall, let's say 55%, depending on jurisdictions. Let's limit this to North America, because I know there's many countries overseas where divorce rates are really low, which we can even talk about a little later in the video. But if I said, look, come to Marriage Airlines, I'm the CEO, 55% of the time, we're not getting you where you need to be. We're either diverting, or we're crashing, or we're canceling the flight. But that's just the way it is with Marriage Airlines. You would tell me, you'd say, Andrew, you're the stupidest CEO to start an airline that brags about having the same success rate as marriage. And I go, yeah, exactly. But I'm making a point here. Would you fly on the airline? You'd say, hell no. Hell no. Because you're either going to crash or you're not going to get me there, or you're going to cancel the flight. Exactly. Because marriage is inherently negligent. And negligence is defined as something that the risk associated with that behavior is clearly understood and known. Right? In fact, any court of law could easily define marriage as being inherently negligent because of where it leads to. But nonetheless, so many people are running into that institution. And of course, if you like institutions, well, there's many of them, like prisons. But nonetheless, let's get back to Marriage Airlines. I'm still fascinated by how people always think they're smarter than everyone else. Now, I'm one of these people that I always realize that I'm part of this universe. I'm part of the trees, and I'm part of this earth. And that if it starts raining pianos, it's going to hit me on the head too, possibly, right? But so many other people think, oh no, wouldn't happen to me. Wouldn't happen to me. In fact, I remember when I was younger, and I would see a group of people in my peer group, typically between the ages of 27 and 35, that core group running off to get married. And that same core group, 5 to 10 years later, they're all running off to get divorced. And I'd say, don't you see this? Like what's wrong with you? How come I can see this and you can't see this? Like, what's happening here? But they always said, no, it's different with me. It's different with me and Sheila. It's different between me and Susan, me and Karen, whoever their spouse's name was. They always had an excuse, and they always thought they were smarter. Whereas I know I'm not as smart as everybody else. I'm just regular Johnny Nobody. Johnny Average, Johnny Nobody. The odds of me getting cancer or hit by a brick in a raw head is just as good as anybody else, right? But I don't know, maybe my ego is a little more subdued than other people. But when it comes to marriage, everybody's just so optimistic. And what do you get? What are you getting into marriage anyway? See, in Marriage Airlines, I would have full service. You get free drinks. I'd even let you smoke in the back. Because you got to make up for the fact that you're giving up complete anonymity. Like me as a single person, for me to get married again, which I'm not necessarily against it. I mean, there's certain nationalities probably never marry because, I know the risks. But nonetheless, When you have full autonomy over your finances, your lifestyle, what you can spend your money on, and what you want to do, that's a lot to give up. That's a lot, especially when you've achieved serenity now. Because there's so many people, even the last few years, because I don't discuss my private life when it comes to romance, just never discuss it. You know, you meet people, they start putting a gun to your head, and they got a lot of drama, and you realize they're trying to not only rob you of your autonomy and freedom, but they want to introduce chaos and drama when you've achieved complete serenity. You know, you have lots of time for quiet reflection, you got time for your close friends, you got time for hobbies, you got time for, you know, somebody calls, hey, let's go to Hawaii next week. Well, dude, I can do it, right? I don't have to, I gotta ask my wife. No. you get what I'm saying. But when they're trying to swap, you know, their needs to be filled by you, and all you're getting is chaos and drama, and at the same time you're losing your full autonomy over your personal life, it's not a fair trade. But yet people still wouldn't want to fly on Marriage Airlines because the failure rate is so high, but yeah, people are still getting married. I don't get it. Don't get it. Everybody just thinks they're so damn smart. Now, of course, getting over to what I mentioned earlier, certain countries have less failure rate when it comes to marriage. Like India, for example. We have a lot of South Asians living here in Western Canada. They have lower marriage failure rates. And that has to do with all sorts of things. Religion, culture, the caste system, arranged marriages. Because when you're in an arranged marriage and it don't work out, you've basically melded two business agreements, two families together, and that causes a lot of disappointment. And they will stay together in spite of things like I see where there's abuse, infidelity, financial infidelity, physical abuse. People will stick it out, and whether that's good or bad, that's for you to decide, because these are problems that aren't my problems. You with close friends, I got like so many good friends from many different walks of life all around the world, and many have pulled off successful first and second marriages, sometimes even third. But I still see infidelity in their marriages. I still see deception. I still see, you know, horrible control where one person, and it's not always the man. Do not get me started on this. Sometimes there's the women that wear the pants in the family and control everything in terms of financial decisions and permission to do anything and things like that. It's quite fascinating. I guess it's not up to me to even judge what works, because if you want to be a submissive man and give over your autonomy to your wife, well, that's up to you. This is a private deal. It has nothing to do with me. I'm just the outside observer. Same with, I see people, you know, with crazy prenuptial agreements that are very lopsided. And then I see, well, what did you get for this? What was the consideration? And the consideration was, you know, minimal or nothing. And I'm like, yeah, was it really worth giving up your autonomy? And then there's the people I see that were, they got no options left in life. They got nothing. They're too old to start over. They would get eaten alive in the dating scene, and they've just settled. Great for them. And I think it's where it gets really crazy and tragic is, you know, you get that couple where he married 10, 15, 20 years older, and he was 25 and she was 35 or 40, and she was still cute, but now the decades have elapsed, and her beauty that you married for is gone, and now you actually look great for your age at 65. She looks horrible. And she's not even treating you good, but you're just so settled, you realize you ain't got any options, and you don't even have the gumption or the confidence anymore to move on. Whereas if you were more experienced at relationships, because they come and go like the wind for me. And I don't worry about them. It's like a dollar. If I lost $1, I'm not going to worry about it too much, because there's more coming, right? That's not to say that I'm cavalier with all my relationships. I'm not, but I don't tolerate nonsense. You know, I was saying, and I said it to many of my close friends who probably heard me say it, I go, I don't negotiate with terrorists. And that's just a good policy to have. Why would you negotiate? There's too many times where you're in a relationship and suddenly there's ultimatums. Well, I'm really clear with my ultimatums when they're given to me. I go, well, great. You just go and do your thing. I'm going this way. You know, if you're threatening to walk out, if I don't knuckle under, well, no. Well, let's just be more efficient, because I'm German. I love efficiency. I'll just leave quietly and calmly. I'm not going to slam cupboards. No, of course. But of course, I'm the guy that always says, look, if you meet somebody, take it slow. I've seen too many of my cohorts run off, get married real fast. And I always ask, who's got cancer? And then they look at me and go, what are you talking about? Well, somebody must have cancer, because you've known this person like 64 days and you're getting married in a month. Like what do you got to do the 90-day fiance thing for? And they go, well, we're in love. Well, great. You could still be in love after you shit test the relationship for 2 years, maybe 3. You should maybe shit test for 1,000 days. Okay? You guys can count. You know how long 1,000 days is. Now, of course, if I had cancer and I was about to die, yeah, I probably wouldn't have a problem getting married real quick. Not a problem at all. Because, you know, tick-tock, your time on this earth is limited. But aside from that, what's the hurry? Of course, with Marriage Airlines, we like to be on time. Because that 55% failure rate is always nipping at our feet. But getting back to James Sexton, this man inspired me to even do this video, because, you know, there's times where the algorithm feeds me James Sexton content, and if you ever watched him, he's brutally honest. Brutal. I love brutal honesty. And often I'm a little too brutally honest in my personal life. And it pisses people off, because people love beautiful lies more than they like ugly truth. But that's just the way I am, right? I just can't live in, you know, in silly little denials like this, where, you know, there's times where I've had relationships with ladies that had negative net worth because they had so much debt, and I've had relationships with somebody that had an 8-figure net worth, and we're not talking the low 8 figures. And you know, my peers who knew this at the time, they go, dude, why didn't you lock it in with the 8-figure chick? And I go, well, if the magic, if it ain't ticking all the boxes, why would I do this? And this wasn't an ugly person. Now you could easily think in your mind, okay, Andrew, you're shallow because you've admitted being shallow. Yes, I am. Yes, very shallow. This person was not an ugly individual, but honesty, integrity, and you know, you got to have that click. It's that abstract thing where you often can't define it, but when you see it, you tend to know it, especially after you shit test it for 1,000 days, you know, because let's face it, life is short, and if you waste it with not the perfect partner, you might as well be single and have all that autonomy, and screw Marriage Airlines and just fly with a regular airline where the failure rate is very, very low. As James Sexton, he's pointed out at least once or twice on a podcast, Toyota had a vehicle that had a problem with their brakes with a failure rate of 0.001, where the brakes would fail and cause a problem. Well, of course, Toyota did a recall. Whereas the humans, where you have a failure rate of 55% for marriages, people are going, sign me up. I mean, does the sex melt your face that much? And trust me, I have dated some hotties where the sex almost melts your face. I get it. But as we mature, as we get older, we realize that that shouldn't be what guides, the principles of marriage. I mean, it's nice to have some eye candy, on your arm. Men love that, but it's not all it's cracked up to be. And I think a lot of this is relativism, where I think people settle a lot because they're like, I really couldn't, get somebody else better, and they have low self-esteem, and they know the dating world is filled from everything from catfish to gold diggers to the mentally ill. To, it's a minefield of madness, right? Now, if you had some self-confidence, you could easily move on a little quicker, like me, where I'll be honest, there's been times I've had relationships where the person just looks at me the wrong way more than once, and I'm like, check, please. But I'm not angry. I'm like, yeah, I wish you the best. It's all good. Even Steven, it's like a Seinfeld episode. No, it's not you, it's me. No, maybe it is you. But, you gotta just laugh. And I've experienced this phenomenon where if you had a really shitty relationship, or a very mediocre, let's just say, because I think a lot of people maybe don't have shitty relationships, they're just dreadfully mediocre, right? So they have them, and they're so mediocre, and that's the standard that they're accustomed to. Well, the moment they walk away from that relationship and they move 2 steps up, oh, we got trains come by, a little noisy, sorry folks, and they take 2 steps up and they go, wow, it's so much better to be 2 steps above mediocre, when they're still in the mediocre phase, but at least they made some progress. But it gives you food for thought to always be wanting to improve oneself with their selection of who they want to be with, because I'm kind of touching the golden years, and I've always thought, would I remarry? Probably not. If you were a betting person, you'd probably bet that I wouldn't, which would be probably a pretty safe bet, but I won't exclude it. But at the same time, North American women, no, I don't want a subservient Filipina either. Not interested in that. No, but there are better choices to be made from other countries, let's just say, and I'm not suggesting going to third world countries where there's a horrible income disparity, because that's a problem in itself with hypergamy, because hypergamy is quite strong and alive around the world, so one must be aware of these pitfalls. But I don't know, if you live in the New York City area and you need a divorce attorney and you can afford him, James Sexton, he's your man. And if you can't afford him, you just want to learn about brutal honesty about love and marriage, watch something with James Sexton. It could change your life. Brilliant man, and I admire his honesty. But anyway, that's my little walk around my hood here. Hope you guys enjoyed the walk and the chat. And remember, don't fly Marriage Airlines. Their on-time rating sucks. Put your comments down below. In the meantime, folks, stay safe, keep working out. Over and out.
I got you.